Hi, Charlie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thanks for making it out bright and early, everybody. You've heard I'm here today with Charlie Collier, who I've known a long time.
That's true.
Yeah, and Charlie is a TV legend. Can I say that?
Oh, you'd be lying, but you just say what you want.
But Charlie has overseen you've kind of ridden the full evolution of television, right? You were at AMC. The era of Mad Men when cable TV walked the earth, right?
Right.
And then you were at Fox Entertainment as CEO there, and you were in a different era of television with broadcast and live and sports.
That's right.
Okay, and now you're the president of Roku Media, which has been in the news lately.
Really?
Yeah, maybe a week ago today, there was big news that Fox was set to acquire Roku for $22 billion. So I just want to read some stats for people here who might not be fully aware.
You got it.
Okay, so let's see. Roku surpassed 100 million households this year in 2026.
Please hold your applause till the end. That'll be good.
146 billion streaming hours, which I don't really even know what that means in context. But
actually, do you know how many days there are in a million seconds?
No.
There are about 11 and change days. But how many days in a billion seconds?
I don't know.
This will give you the magnitude. About 33 years.
Oh, my God.
So think about that. When you hear a millionaire versus a billionaire, think about that. It's like a vacation versus a third of your life if you're lucky. So nearly 150 billion streaming hours is a lot of streaming.
That's a good stat.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you're a born ad seller. That's a very good stat.
Well, thank you very much. If you learn nothing else.
Yeah. And let's see. Then this I thought was super interesting. Nielsen said that Roku surpassed all legacy TV broadcast viewing for the first time. And Roku has 21.4% of all US TV viewing.
Yeah, it's a really remarkable platform. I will tell you that Roku, really about half of streaming happens on Roku in one way or another. And that is a really remarkable statistic that isn't incredibly well known, because I think in many ways Roku was built from devices up versus advertising and marketing brand down. So in New York and LA, we think, brand down.
Yeah.
And really methodically, Anthony Wood, Roku is the number 6 in Japanese. Did you know that?
I just learned that moments ago. Yeah.
So it's called Ichini-san Shigo Roku, and it is a 6 company. Yeah, there you go. I can count to 6. I can do math. This is all going to be a math session. You're going to love it. But it was Anthony Wood's 6th company. He's brilliant. He thought all TV would be streamed, and he said it before most of us knew the word streaming.
Yeah.
And he's built it into the leading streaming platform.
Okay. It's amazing. All right. So I want to ask you, just going back to the potential acquisition that we are not talking about at the moment, because I know you're not allowed to say anything right now. But I do want to know what you think. I think we've been so consumed by these streaming wars that it's Netflix versus everyone else and everyone trying to catch up to Netflix. And then when the news came out, I think for a lot of people who work in media, it was so shocking because it was like, oh, wait, maybe we've been thinking entirely about the wrong thing. So I just, without getting into details that get you in trouble, what does this tell us about where television is going?
Sure. Well, let me answer that in 2 parts. But the first part is thank you for the sensitive question. You're absolutely right. I can't talk about anything.
Yes.
But I can say I'm excited. I think the 2 companies have very complementary strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if any of you listened to Lachlan Murdoch and Anthony Wood, our founder, did an investor call a week ago today, and I thought really elegantly described a lot. So I refer you to that. But as much as anything, I think it'll propel us toward our long-term vision faster. And we'll operate as an independent company until close. So sort of laser focused on making sure Roku keeps flying.
So I want to get into this topic that I think is kind of at the heart of this a little bit. You were behind one of the biggest hits of cable, Mad Men, right?
Thank you.
And
Matthew Weiner, much more than me.
Well, but you were smart enough to say yes, and keep it alive for many seasons.
Yeah.
I think that we always think, again, people in media really think about television as a business of hits, right?
Right.
And so what, but I think in terms of where Roku sits in the world of of distribution, like how have you seen hits, the ability to have a hit change, and what do you need to have a hit besides just a great idea now?
Well, it's a great question. I have to tell you, I'm very distracted. So I stayed up till around 2 a.m. watching the U.S. Open. Did anyone else watch the U.S. Open? And I'm looking over your shoulder. Does that not look like a golf ball on a tee? That is really interesting. Anyway. That's what happens when you stay up late. Look, we talk a lot about the hits and the habits, and it's not just on Roku, but if you look at the history of streaming, so much is made of the hits because it's new by definition. The hits are new original programs, but what drives so much of the viewership is the habits, right? The library that we talk about. And so when you hear 150 billion or 145 billion streaming hours, you realize people are watching a lot of library and a lot of originals. And to your question, what it takes to make a hit is still the same. You still need brilliant people like Vince Gilligan or Matt Warner and people who bet on them. And you need the alchemy that comes from when that actually works and sort of sparks an interest in popular culture. But it is a lot about discovery as well. We spend a ton of time making sure that content gets discovered and that it gets to the right audiences. And so it's a balance today between obviously those incredible bets on original programming and then having a platform that can help you find them.
But just going back to the idea of hit shows, so then is the way things are distributed today through, if Roku has half the streaming in America.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's so crazy. What can you describe a little the fight to be found on Roku? And
it's not a fight. I mean, we spend our time trying to help viewers have a simple, delightful TV experience. I get all sorts of stats, as you can imagine, in this job. And what you realize is that even when people know what they want to watch, they spend inordinate amount of time often looking for not just that show, but the things that they find along the way. So we have what I believe is the most simple and delightful way to watch television. And our home screen, we talk about it being the lead into television.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting notion because when I was at Fox Entertainment, the way you can tell what a broadcast executive is most confident about or most excited about is that they'll put it behind, in the case of Fox, behind the NFL. So you look at what airs after the NFC Championship game or what airs after the Super Bowl, and it's always the show that they're trying to launch for that season, and it works incredibly well as a lead-in. It's one of the great reasons the NFL is so popular. Well, you fast forward to our home screen, and you've got homes with 125 million people coming through our front door every day. So we really do have almost Super Bowl-sized audiences every day on Roku, and so I take very seriously the opportunity to use that to help people find what they want. And the navigation is easy, and whether it's sports or a genre you like, there are zones and destinations that make it easy.
Well, so let's talk about the Roku home screen. Is it, I'm very curious how it actually works. Is it recommendation? Is it curation? Is it algorithm?
It's a blend of all of it. They're from zeitgeist moments where they capture zeitgeist moments and interest you, and there are Easter eggs. And we have something called Roku City. Have you ever seen Roku? Roku City is awesome. And what Roku City is it started as a screensaver on our platform, and it really is an interactive world. I view it as a large entertainment platform, and we've had all sorts of entertainment experiences. I joked with my internal team, we are programming like a traditional programmer, the UI, the user interface. And so Demi Lovato came and did a rooftop concert inside Roku City, or when Universal launched Wicked, you watched Roku City and then it turned green and became Oz, and we did original content with the choreographer from Wicked. And so you start to think, you can entertain people on the way to entertainment. And I believe, first of all, people ask for Roku by name when they go into retailers, but I think a lot of it is because the experience is so wonderful.
I will tell you, when the deal was announced last Monday, there were many jokes or comments. Everyone in our staff in Slack knew what Roku City was. So
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit the cultural zeitgeist.
Well, it has, and it is, tweeted about something like every 9 minutes. And when bad things happen in the world, you'll watch people say, "Oh, I wish I could live in Roku City," because it is. Well, it's what we view it as is it's the world that's happening inside your television, even when it's not on. So it's this wonderful pop cultural experience, and it has everything in TV and film. So it's pretty great.
Well, so this might be a good place to pivot into a question that we talked a little bit about before. That where have advertisers? No, what is the misconception about advertising and the viewer? Because you're feeding it to them a lot with your Roku City,
Sure.
Which is what have people gotten wrong about viewers' relationship with advertising?
Oh, that's interesting. So, well, just a few years back, 4 years ago, Roku City was very much a screensaver. But advertisers, and when we got there, we started to program it. So we started building branded buildings inside the city. And, it happens to be our offices in Times Square in New York. You see all the branding. In Roku City, people liked it better with real life advertising in it. So advertisers started to build creative buildings.
Because it made it feel more real.
It does. And so we've had all sorts of integrations with not just media and entertainment partners, but other brands. And they'll build buildings, they'll build stadiums. During the Olympics, we build basically an Olympic village inside Roku City. And it really is a nice way. Again, if you think of us as the front door to television, if you think about us as the lead into all TV, we really can create a way to get more people to their sporting event, their premiere, their live event, and do it really creatively.
So it's a little bit like what brands do with Fortnite. Would that be a comp?
It's similar. Obviously, we have a very diverse audience. We have a broad audience, and again, more than half the broadband households get their streaming through Roku. So I suppose it's like I don't know Fortnite as well. I know it through my kids.
Yes.
But this is more of just a simple interface that is lovely and delightful and gives you ways to find Easter eggs and celebrate pop culture.
Yeah. So Roku's so huge now that I was wondering, what does the future in your mind look like with Netflix, Prime Video? You run these people subscribe through Roku, right? All the biggest streaming platforms.
We send more people on a percentage basis probably to everybody.
So tell me what makes Roku special. Why do Netflix and Amazon, why don't they just say, let's stop feeding business to Roku. We own our own audience.
Well, they have discrete audiences, but the way to think about it is there was a great deck one of my account executives wrote, and they called it "The platform is bigger than the pieces." And what they meant was you have to come through the front door to get in the house. And so if you think about it, for us, we see our audience maybe on average 25 days a month. And the leading apps see their audiences maybe 10 days a month. And that's the top. And it falls off precipitously from there. So you need an organizing principle. And we are that front door to television.
Can you explain a little bit of consumer behavior? Why do they prefer that experience?
Well, if you think about this, this is a real life example. During the NBA playoffs, go Knicks. I thought that was going to be your first question because that happened last week too. And that was a big deal.
Yeah, I heard.
It was great. But if you think about the NBA playoffs before it got down to just ESPN, someone said to me, and this was a pretty savvy person, they said, here's how I find the game I'm looking for. I check all the networks I know have NBA rights or had NBA rights. And if it's not on any of them, I go to Amazon. And you think about that as a consumer experience, it's really
terrible.
Right. So instead, you can come to our home screen. If it's a big cultural event, it will be one click away on the home screen. If not, you go to our sports zone and everything you like is curated for you. And this is a recurring cry for help I talk about, but I'm a Mets and Jets fan. And as a Mets fan, you could have 5 different outlets that have your game in a week. And so to have an organizing principle that is simple and delightful and entertains you along the way, it's just a great experience.
Well, so are we moving from search to suggestion? Is that a little bit
You're moving to both. What I want you to do is turn on your television, you turn on your Roku, and you are entertained. You are offered options. You see what you were looking for. You might see some things you didn't know you were looking for. You might get an Easter egg that surprises you about something going on in the world. And it's simple and it's branded and beautiful.
Well, so tell us what you've learned about audience behavior since you've been at Roku. When people are turning on Roku, are they looking for a specific show or are they looking to discover?
Yeah, well, it's both. And the greatest learning from Roku is how hard simple is. I think Roku is doing so well because it is really simple. It's really clean. It's delightful. It's intuitive. No matter your age, you can figure it out and you just get used to it and it gets used to you. And if you want to search, there's great search. If you want to discover something, we help you discover it. And as I said, there are other opportunities for you to be surprised and delighted, which is amazing. And it's not easy. If any of you just buy a device that has access to your apps, you see how clunky it can be. And then you compare it to Roku. And that's a lot of people come back for a second, third, fourth device because it's just easy.
Yeah. So, I want to talk for a second about the idea of where people find culture now. Right. Mad Men was a cultural phenomenon.
Does everyone know Janice reinvented The Hollywood Reporter? When we really first got to know each other, you turned The Hollywood Reporter into the place of record for Hollywood. And you did it by saying, here's what pierces popular culture. Here's what you should know.
Right.
And it's much harder today. Yeah.
It is much harder. And, before that I did Us Weekly, which was the biggest monoculture publication, maybe of this century, right? So far.
Have you ever discussed the monoculture with anyone under 21?
God, they wouldn't even, it sounds like a disease, right?
Exactly, right. So, monoculture. You sleep it off and 2 weeks later you're back at work.
Right. So, I'm just curious as someone who was behind like really big culture defining hits, including Breaking Bad, right? And
that was a fun one.
Oh my God, it's so great. And so is it possible to now what you know about audience through Roku, is it possible to have a mass hit? Is it possible to define culture?
It's interesting. I think the sports question, I get a lot of questions about sports and what live does and live and recurring and expected events that have unknown outcomes. That is become more valuable for sure. Yeah. And then I think obviously you can still create hits. It's the mass question that's harder. Yeah. So, I remember I learned about the Pit through the business, but I watched my family discover the Pit through Roku. Right. And so I think, all right, well, that's good. It means we're actually showcasing the stuff that pierces popular culture, giving you other alternatives as well. And I think the difference between live major sporting events and building culture is you build culture over time now. Yeah. Whereas when we launched The Walking Dead, I think we bought a big ad in a bunch of places where you bought big ads, and then there was an event, and that doesn't happen at scale the same way.
No. Well, let's talk about live for a second. Sure. By the way, I think I thought the NBA finals were an example of how live has, awesome. It was amazing. Right. Like everyone who was, one of my colleagues here was bought some app to watch the game when she did not care at all about it. Like everyone got so caught up.
Yeah, but it's a perfect example. That pierced popular culture. Yes. And if you live in New York, which I do, it changed the way people treated each other. And when when you are lucky enough to be around something that pierces popular culture, and by the way, you mentioned it for Roku City. The number of people who say, if I see a purple glow in someone's window, I know they have Roku City. I'm like, wow, that's cool. It changes even, you walk down the street in Brooklyn, you see a lot of purple.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's cool. Yeah.
And just in terms of ad pricing with live now, and we know that advertisers love live, right? And
some do. Yeah.
So okay.
Well, you got to look at the peaks and valleys. I think a lot about what it means to build reach for advertising right now. Yeah. Because if you looked at February, I think NBC Universal called it Legendary February. Yes. So they had the Super Bowl, and if you look at reach curves, obviously the Super Bowl's huge. They had the NBA All-Star Game and the Olympics all in 1 month. Right. And if you look at reach curves, that whole notion of the hits and the habits that I talked about, the hits are obvious when you look at the curves, but the habits on Roku Roku, because of scale, are enormous as well. And so you've got to buy to both. Whereas before, you had, when, broadcast was in its heyday, you had broadcast delivering the type of reach that you now see only in hit situations.
Well, so are buyers looking for urgency?
Well, buyers are looking for results. I think the biggest change you're going to see in advertising and media over the next, few years, and frankly, it's happening now, and we can talk about it if you like, is people are looking for outcomes. That's it, right?
Yeah.
You advertise for a lot of reasons, and you may have different reasons. Some people are looking for lead generation, others are looking for brand awareness, and others are looking for sales.
Right.
And you're going to see television, and we do it a lot through a program we have called our Ads Manager platform, which is a self-service platform. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's all going to be outcomes driven.
Well, by the way, when I hear self-service ads, it sounds a little scary to me.
Really?
Yeah, but only because it sounds like people can put up things that.
Oh no, we still monitor, and again, you can use the tools today to make sure that you do creative scanning of all kinds. So it's not a free for all by any stretch, and it's more of, think of it as a democratization of television. So if you look back when we knew each other, you probably could name most of the top 250 brands because that's who advertised on television. And if you look today, you're going to see that go to from 250 to 25,000 to 250,000. And before you know it, you have access to television in a really elevated way. And then through AI, within 5 minutes, you can create creative based on your website. You can upload a campaign and you can start to measure outcomes, which is
like on a dashboard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's basically the tools of search and social coming to television.
Yeah. So again, because we're here at Cannes Lion, I'd love to hear what you think, what marketers are getting right and wrong now about streaming.
Right. Well, I think we used to talk a lot just a few years ago about how linear was moving to CTV.
Yeah.
And now it's just CTV is dominant and it is television. And that is not anything we talk about anymore. So I think one of the things they're getting right is that they've moved with the audiences and that it's just television, right? And then I think what is happening more and more is that they're going to start to they already are talking to us about those outcomes. So we used to talk about a CPM. Actually, I won't mention who they are, but yesterday I was in a meeting and a major packaged goods advertiser literally said, we used to buy people 2+. If you had a mouth, we wanted to reach you. And then the rest of the meeting was about the outcome they're trying to generate. And if you think about that shift for a major packaged goods advertiser, that is, they've gone from breadth to specificity and from really a broad target to outcomes. So,
let's say you're a big CPG and a company, and we're here. We see Meta and Google represented everywhere. So tell me the pitch. Why connected TVs? Why Roku versus Meta and Google?
Well, first of all, Meta and Google and Amazon, they do things at a scale that is unfathomable, right? We have half the CTV audience, more than half the broadband households. They're on your device and they're getting feedback every time you move your thumb. So it's a different sport. But what's happened in search and social is it's gotten expensive and incrementality is hard to find because if you think about it, it's been around a while and people compete for the same type of audiences. So the pricing goes up. Well, they're looking for alternatives and they're looking for incremental reach. And obviously what we do on the big screen in the home, what we do with our reach, the fact that you can use the targeting and outcomes and performance of search and social now on television, it's a massive boost. And I think Google and Meta will be okay and will hopefully provide some incrementality.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a conversation today if I didn't bring up AI.
Oh, sure.
So I think there are two, I think, like existential threats people talk about in Hollywood a lot, AI and then the rise of the creator economy. So let's talk about AI first. And how do you think that is going to impact advertising?
Well, look, I think AI is already impacting advertising. That self-service platform, perfect example. We've used machine learning for a long, long time, and that's where the recommendations come from. That is AI. But I think you mean more generative AI and what it's doing there. The fact that you can be a small and medium-sized business that was never in television, that you can use our tools to quickly create a campaign, that you can then upload it and again manage the outcomes we're talking about and build performance and see results and measure it back to us. That is all because AI is here and here to stay. stay. And then, look, the optimization of everything is a reality, and it's very good. Again, if you're going to move your focus from mass audiences to outcomes, you're also going to move your measurement to specificity, and AI helps quite a bit.
What are people overstating about what AI can and can't do? Is any of the panic, too much?
Well, this is not my unique thought, but I have a relative who, sent me a panicked, I want to just bury my head in the sand. And I went back to the example that we were an agrarian nation, right? Everyone was farmers. And we talked about how if you had asked a farmer what they wanted back then, they'd say faster horses, right? But turned out cars were okay and changed the way we live. And then there was travel, and you could then see people, in minutes that used to take weeks. And there's progress. I feel very much the same way. There is good and bad to everything. But I'm blown away by the tools and by what it does for creativity, what it'll do to bring down costs and give access. When you have a box office of creators for under $1 million who are competing with the biggest films ever, it's both scary and wonderful.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about creators a second. Like, where do creators sit in Roku right now?
Yeah. Well, so we. We send a ton of people to YouTube. We also have a creator zone. We do a lot of a lot. And so if you want it, you can find it through Roku if it's, filmed entertainment. And obviously we now even have video podcasts and other things, on the platform under creators. So that's all there, and that's there to stay. And if you want to watch it, we can help you get there simply and delightfully. And that won't change, and there'll be all sorts of different forms of expression. And I imagine if it's filmed and entertaining, we'll be able to help you find it.
So, the Ankler covers Hollywood very closely.
I got to ask you this. Do you know what an Ankler is?
I do.
Okay. Can you explain to everyone? I ask everyone, I said, why is it called the Ankler?
Well, you told me what Roku means, so I have to share now. So
it's the number 7 in Japanese.
Exactly. You never counted that high.
Right. Is that
it's this, my partner, Richard Marshfield, who founded the company. It's this old timey Hollywood phrase that used to mean, like, if someone ankled a job, it meant you didn't know why they left. It meant
how positive.
Yeah, exactly. So it was one of those ambiguous terms that and so
it's a cool name.
It's pretty cool. So there you go. So for
Sorry.
No, good question. So for the Hollywood crowd that have been ankled from various jobs from time to time. What do you say to them? Like, when what would you tell a studio chief right now, or someone who runs streaming, who might, and I don't think this is really the case, but who might still view Roku just as distribution?
No, it's interesting. We have such a layered and multivariate relationship with the studios. So first of all, we are the best path to promote their product. So you'll see, I mentioned Wicked before, but when they wanted to launch, actually it was the streaming version on Peacock, we took over Roku City and turned it green and made it Oz, and that happened. We do that for all the studios. We're a large partner. In fact, one of our largest ad categories is obviously media and entertainment, because it works. By the way, the ultimate performance, if you think about a platform, is that you can watch it and click on it, and there you are. You're watching it on Roku. So it is the perfect proof of concept, because we send probably more people to Severance on Apple than Apple does, because of our scale. So we have that relationship. We're also a licensor of their library. As I said, we do a tremendous amount of library work for our viewer, and then we also build originals and co-productions. We just did the 20th anniversary of Laguna Beach, which was so much fun. And again, we knew enough about our audiences to know that they were fans of the franchise. We know enough of what works on the platform to see how the old shows and those around them from the Viacom world, not even Paramount, are doing so well. And then we built the original, Team Kristen, by the way. And we built the original. Are you surprised?
No, not at all.
Come on. But so we built the original. We sent people back to the old episodes. I mean, it really is a virtuous cycle for the studios. And then again, they're major clients, and we help them build their plans to launch everything.
Paramount, MTV, we're thrilled.
Yeah, it's good for them.
Yeah.
It's good for us. It's an original program based on fandom, and everything starts and finishes with the viewer. And the viewers loved it. It was our highest rated unscripted show ever.
It's amazing.
It's great. And we'll tap into fandoms in really interesting ways. Right now, during the World Cup, we'll create original documentaries. Here's a pigeon to tell you about it. Look at this.
hello. What a beautiful little pigeon.
I hope that's our 15-minute warning.
Yeah, not a New York style pigeon, by the way.
No, that's a canned pigeon. Yeah. French accent.
So I have one last question for you. Okay, so you've ridden every wave of television. Not every. You weren't there for, I
started in spot television. I did. I started at Telerep. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. See.
Okay. 5 years from now, what is television?
Oh, it's great. I think a lot of what you're going to see over the next 5 years is happening already. It's just going to happen in more interesting ways and get more simple and more delightful and more intuitive for the viewer. I think sort of the cacophony. Actually, look, we're in the middle of all the brands that are trying to get you to spend your time with them.
Yes.
And your questions are spot on because it's always about the creators. You can't have the hits without the creators. You can't have the library without the creators. You've got to pierce popular culture and have people want to be entertained by the content. But the discovery has to get easier and has to become more ubiquitous. So when you ask us, where are we with movies, TV, creators, what have you, every type of storytelling that's coming over the next 5 years, you'll find it more simply and delightfully on Roku.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, Charlie, great to spend time with you.
Fun to be with you. Thank you, Janice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.